Good evening, dear students. I hope you are doing well. Our lecture for today will be about chapter 11, 12, and 13 of Wuthering Heights. Now, please pay attention and I want you to listen carefully to every word because these chapters are very important, especially chapter 12. Now, in chapter 11, we will see the same as always, the love triangle. You know, if you are a fan of K-dramas or shows that has this love triangle, which the female character, we're always on edge. Who's she going to choose? What will it be? So the same thing here for Catherine in this chapter. It is again this dilemma between Heathcliff and between Edgar. Now we know she is married. Yes, she is married. She's not supposed to choose one. She has already a husband. Yet the thing with Catherine is, do you remember what we said about Plato, about the idea of starvation and hunger and wanting to embrace the other? That is this exactly the same, because Catherine, she is still yearning. She is still in love, deeply in love with Heathcliff. Sorry. Now, the chapter begins with Nellie Dean describing an event. She goes to, as she passes through the old gate, as she says, going out of my way on a journey to Gimmerton. Now, while she goes there, she notices the initials of the places of WH, TG, WH for Wuthering Heights, TG for Thrushcross Grange. She says, the sun shone yellow on its gray head, reminding me of summer, which means what? She starts to, and even she describes, she says, I cannot know why I started to remember everything. She remembers the days when she spent as children with Hindley, with Catherine, and she even says that there is a hole, and in that hole, they kept snail shells, the pebbles. Now here, as if she's noticing the change of the past with the present. As she observes the place, she sees an apparition. Now, why does she say this? Superstition on page 133. Superstition urged me to comply with this impulse. Supposing he should be dead, I thought, or should soon or die soon, supposing it were a sign of death. The nearer I got to the house, the more agitated I grew, and on catching sight of it, I trembled in every limb. Now, the ghost, as we said, it is not. It turned out to be whom? A Heriton. Now, keep in mind, it's been 10 months since she left him. So here, he doesn't even remember her. He doesn't know her. Now, what does Hindley do here? He throws rocks at her. And the way she says it, she says, the way he threw rocks at me, it looks as if he was trained with lots of practice to do so. He tells her that the devil has taught him to curse everyone, at his father, at the curate, everyone around the house. Why? Because Heathcliff, now, as we said, Heathcliff gives money to Hindley, therefore he is like the provider. The income comes through Heathcliff. Now, do you remember what I told you on chapter 2 or 3, I believe, when Mr. Lockwood asked Heathcliff whether Heriton is your child, to which Heathcliff replied with a smirk, with a laugh. He said, this bear is my child. No, I can never be a father to that bear. Why? And I asked you at that moment, I told you we will get back to this point later on in the novel. Now, when we look at Heathcliff and Heriton, their childhood is the same circumstances, the same thing. And even in this chapter, Heriton says that he is deprived of reading, of writing. He does not read, he does not write, because Heathcliff does not want him to do so. Okay, so here when we look at Heathcliff and Heriton, they're both exactly the same circumstances. Everything is the same except the destination or the story, end of the story is different. different, as we shall later see. Now, and here, while she is talking to Heriton, she tells him to go and fetch or bring his father, Hindley, because she wanted to talk to him. But while he goes there, is brought or comes is Heathcliff. On page 135, she says, Heathcliff appeared on the door stones, and I turned directly and ran down the road as hard as ever I could race, making no halt till I gained the guidepost and feeling as scared as if I raised a goblin. Now, 3 days later on, Heathcliff visited the Grange again. Isabella, who had not spoken to Heathcliff for 3 days, she was in the garden. Nellie Dean was looking out of the kitchen window, and as soon as Heathcliff saw Isabella, he went to talk to her. He went to talk to her. He had never gone to talk to her before, and immediately Nellie Dean started to feel what? To be worried. She says, I have the right to be worried, because in a few minutes, what was Heathcliff doing? He was kissing Isabella. Now, notice, put in your mind, we said in the previous chapter, Heathcliff knew that Isabella is the heir. That is why he is starting to what? To scheme or plan his planning or his devilish revenge is that he wants to have the Grange, he wants to have Wuthering Heights, and he wants to revenge upon Hindley and Edgar. Okay. Now, when Nellie Dean sees this, look at what she sees in the picture. You remember the comic or the graphic novel that I gave you at the beginning of the semester. Here she says, you cheat, you unfaithful man. You cheat, you unfaithful man. Now, in the page on 136, she called him Judas, the traitor. Now, who is this Judas, the traitor? She even says, a hypocrite, you are a deliberate deceiver. Now, Judas in the Bible, he is known for his famous betrayal of Jesus. He betrayed Jesus for an amount of money. I believe it was 30 or around that pieces of silver. One of the first, which is like one of the events that led to the later crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Now, it is said that Jesus is fickle. However, he was a close follower and disciple of Jesus for 3 years. So in a way here, she is saying that you are Heathcliff, you are a traitor, and you are betraying, according to her, your friend Catherine. But we know with a wink that Catherine is no friend to Heathcliff. We know they're still yearning for each other. We know they're still in love with each other. Nellie Dean says that she ran and she goes to tell Kathy. It was not the only thing that she could do. She came downstairs, Catherine came downstairs with her, and when Heathcliff came into the kitchen, she told him to leave Isabella alone. Why are you, she says, what are you about is raising this problem, raising this stir? I want you to leave Isabella alone. I beg you, Will. What does Heathcliff say on page 137? Which is, he has a good point, by the way. He says, I have a right to kiss her if she wants me to. You cannot stop me. I am not your husband, so you have no right to be jealous, which is in fact true. But you know, when you look at those words, you know deep down they're still in love with each other. They're still yearning for each other. That is why on another page, he tells her something which is so beautiful. We'll get back to that later on. So he tells her, I am not your husband, so you have no right to be jealous. To which she asks him, do you like Isabella? If you like Isabella, then why don't you marry her? You must marry her. We know she doesn't mean it. Now, he tells her, I'll marry Isabella if I want to. I do not have to ask for anyone's permission, either yours or Edgar's. Heathcliff says, I want you to be aware, Catherine, that I know you have treated me infernally. Infernally, do you hear? Which here he tells her, you treated me very badly for 3 years, or 3 years ago.